Moving along to the offensive line, Joe Alt. You guys both have him. I had him going to look. Here's the thing that's kind of weird
Just
me out
makes
about
too
this
much
draft.
sense.
It does. Joe Alt to the Titans at 6th or 7th, excuse me.
7, right?
Yeah, 7. The issue here is that like it feels like it feels like 4, 5, 6, 7 is kind of just sort of like set up too easily, or maybe in 5, maybe there's a trade. But it's like all these, it's like Harrison, Chargers either trade or maybe draft a lineman. And then it's like they could take Joe Alt at 5 too, by the way.
They could. Yeah, I think me and Brady mocked him earlier in our 2 mock drafts for him going to the Chargers at 5.
But yeah, like the Titans need offensive line help. He'd be a perfect fit. And you have to think he fits the Brian Callahan and Bill Callahan mold in terms of what they want in an offensive lineman, right?
Yeah, I didn't realize he measured at 6'9". I was like, good God.
Oh, bro, he's ridiculous.
I saw him. I know he's big, but I didn't realize he's that big. No, he makes a ton of sense for their system, what they're going to ask him to do. He fits a need for them as well. I understand what you're saying. But I think like the more I looked at actually how I did my picks with each team where they match, in this case, it was more of like, all right, this is like where I could see them kind of same thing. Like they could fit in, but I don't really see them getting past this point. So I don't see Alt getting past 7. I don't see Fashioner getting past the Jets at 10. And we could go through the rest of them, but that was kind of how I did this exercise with the linemen, because it's a little harder to kind of predict like where they could fit in. But for most of these guys, it's a solid tackle class. The only thing becomes, and dudes, you could talk to this, like there's only like really 2 or 3 you could say true left tackles. Meaning
that's the thing.
Fashanu, and then you would say Fatanu, but he might move inside to guard, even though he
guard. Correct.
So that's the only thing that kind of concerns you, I think.
Yeah, and when you look at Alt, to me, it makes more sense for Tennessee than the Chargers because of what you just said, Brady. Joe Alt's a true left tackle. They have a perennial All-Pro already, the Chargers, and Slater at left tackle. So, like, you would have to move Alt to right tackle, and that's a hard transition for a guy that played left tackle. And I'm not saying he can't do it. He can do it, but I just think it makes more sense for them to get a pass catcher. And then Fashanu right to the Jets is I like that as well, especially if the top 3 receivers are gone. The only thing is that it would essentially be a redshirt year for him if everybody stays healthy. Now, Tyron Smith hasn't stayed healthy his whole career, and you got to think Morgan Moses come off a torn pec, and he's in his mid-30s as well. So that's the only thing. If the Jets do take Fashanu, could it be a quote-unquote redshirt year for him as well?
The only thing I don't understand about that is like everyone's been saying that, and I've seen that too. It's like, how do we know that these guys that are older don't end up being the insurance policy? Like, how do we know that?
So that makes a lot of sense too, and I'm glad you said that because
is here.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because essentially that's exactly what the Jets did a few years ago when they signed Morgan Moses in 21. He was the swing tackle, but he ended up starting because Mekhi Becton got hurt. So, like, that could be a real scenario where we know Tyron Smith has played right tackle. He had to do it last year, right, and the year before. So he could go to right tackle, and you could put Fashanu at left, and then, your emergency tackle could be Morgan Moses, which I'm not opposed to at all.
And by the way, Morgan Moses' contract is like, I think it's like 1 year.
I was gonna say he's not making that much money.
No, it's 1 year, $5.5 million with zero dead money if they cut him. So, I mean, that's a situation where if you draft a tackle in the first round, you'd almost prefer like that. You want that tackle beating out Morgan Moses, and then Moses is the backup option who doesn't want to get cut because he wants to make his money, but understands that he might not be starting.
But five bill for a swing tackle is nothing in today's NFL.
Right.
Because those guys are going to start.
Yeah. Talise Fuaga, Brady, you think the floor is the Bengals there at 18? I think they're really fascinating because they've been tied to Brock Bowers a ton. They're not a team that trades up, though. They've done this a lot in the past where they did it with the safety who left and went and signed with the Falcons, whose name I'm completely.
Oh, Jesse Bates.
Jesse Bates, thank you. Good Lord, sorry. Jesse Bates left, and then they draft his replacement and when he's on the franchise tag.
They drafted.
Thought they did. Right. But I'm just saying.
Like the way I look at this is, again, I think that's like the farthest he would fall, depending on if he's still there. Yeah. I think the Saints would make a lot of sense. I know that's where Dews went with this one. I think that's where you really start talking about him being somewhere in that range of 14 to 18.
Well, I mean, it depends on who you talk to, Brady, because some people actually have him ranked higher than Olu. I don't know how, and I love Talise Fuaga, but there used to always be like a precipice on left tackles, like pure left tackles, and maybe just because the NFL has changed, right tackles are just as important. I mean, Fuaga can play literally 4 out of the 5 positions on the offensive line, so maybe that's why people have him ranked a little bit higher because of position flexibility. I think the Saints just make too much sense. Ryan Ramczyk, we don't even know if he'll be healthy enough to play. And Trevor Penning really struggled when he was a starter as well. So they absolutely have to get a tackle in the first round. And I think for
Saints, I mean, the Saints tackle situation is underrated.
It is abysmal and awful right now, their situation.
Yeah, it's a bad spot unless like Penning makes a step forward. It doesn't sound like Ramczyk will be ready for the season. All right, Amarius Mims, J.C. Latham, Troy Fatanu, Jackson Powers Johnson, and Graham Barton. Give me your favorite match out of that group.
I think, to me, it's Jackson Powers Johnson in Miami because they need it. I think you've got to be able to solidify the interior of the pocket. I don't know how many guys I would say would be day one ready with the upside ability as Jackson Powers Johnson has. So that'd be where I think he'd be the best fit for the players that I kind of place in those spots.
Yeah, I like that mock, Brady. And one of my mocks, I had him there. And then the next mock, I had him going to Dallas. They lost Tyler Biadasz. So to me, that fills a void right away. And for a Dallas team that said they're all in, they really haven't done much in the offseason. So filling that void with Jackson Powers Johnson for Dallas makes too much sense. And then the Troy Fontenot one is intriguing. We both have him going to the Seattle Seahawks. And I think it's because of the position flexibility. Now, they did just sign Lincoln Tomlinson. But he's probably going to be a swing guy for them. But Troy Fontenot, even though they do have 2 really good tackles, he could swing into guard and start from day one.
Cowboys also secretly, for years, it's like Cowboys offensive line is one of the best in the league. It's like now
I'm surprised Tyler Guyton didn't make this list, Brady.
I think was he?
I didn't make the list. No point of me here. Someone put Tyler Guyton in there.
Hey, is Amarius Mims going to go to the Eagles? Because, Howie Roseman.
You love Georgia players.
He loves Georgia players.
I got him going to the 49ers.
I can see that. Yeah,
he's a very large man.
He is.
Gigantic.
He's got to stay on the field, man.
Yeah.